Toolkit, but just adding on to from what Simon has been talking about, the template food control plan, the Simply Safe and Suitable template food control plan is designed to only tell you what you are legally required to do. So that was, we heard continuously from food businesses that they just want to be told what to do. It just outlines the outcomes, like what does your food have to look like at the end. And that's what it really focuses on. Doesn't matter how you achieve that. There's 100 ways to skin that cat, but how do you achieve safe food? And every food business is slightly different. Some of you have huge commercial kitchens. Some of you have food trucks. Some of you will cook food, in your own kitchen at home. But it doesn't matter as long as the end result is safe and suitable food. What we found when we released the Simply Safe and Suitable template is a lot of people said, well, how do I know how to do that? So for a lot of people, just tell me what to do meant I want to know a little bit about the process. How do I make sure that my staff are doing the right things? How do I make sure that they're washing their hands properly, that they're cleaning properly? How do I make sure that my equipment is properly sanitized? And that's when we started to create the Food Safety Toolkit. The Food Safety Toolkit is a range of tools. Every single one of the tools that we've created has been either designed by someone who runs a food business, or we have designed and then heavily tested it with food businesses. So there's nothing in this pack that we, in our ivory tower, think that you should have. Everything is practical. A lot of things are, we haven't redesigned the wheel, we've put things in there that we've witnessed food businesses using firsthand. So as an example, one of the first things we created was a big sheet of labels that you could put on your containers so that you will know what's in your food and what date it expires. The more we tested the labels, the more we realised people didn't use them because the common practice was to use a roll of masking tape and write down in a vivid what was in that container. So why would we give them expensive labels that they couldn't peel off their containers afterwards and gave them all sorts of trouble? So instead we just bought a whole load of rolls of masking tape and stuck them in the toolkit. Similarly, whiteboard markers, they are magnetic whiteboard markers, and that came up as people were constantly asking us how they should be keeping records. This was a real pain point for a lot of businesses. Keeping a diary in an office that they had to take out every day and keep records isn't practical for someone who works in a kitchen. That is practical for someone who works in an office. So how do we come to you and provide a tool that you can use? So the whiteboard marker was something that almost every kitchen had. So we made it magnetic and it sticks on stainless steel. So you can have it on your stainless steel kitchen, or you can have it on your fridge. You can jot down fridge or chiller temperatures, or you can do stock takes. We don't care how you use it, but this is a practical thing that every food business will use. Similarly, the card game that we've included, it's an allergen card game, and it looks a bit like a child's game, but it was actually created by two businesses that are on a food control plan, and this came up as an answer, a solution to a really common problem that most food businesses have, and that is that not a lot of places trust their staff to be able to tell a customer with a serious food allergy that the food has or hasn't got an allergen in them that will make them sick. It came up as, the number one fear for a food service business, well, not number one, but really high ranking fear for a food business is that someone's going to have a huge allergic reaction to peanuts because the staff member doesn't properly know that the brownies have got peanuts in them. So how do you make sure that your staff know how to do it? It's just a cute little game. It takes 5 minutes to play. Put it in a breakout area, and if you've got high staff turnover, it's just a real quick way of getting that through to them. All these things have been designed by food businesses, or were ideas that food businesses gave us to put in the toolkit. There's also stickers and posters, and most notably we've created the Food Safety Buddy, which is like a really simple really simple publication. It focuses on what we call the top 5 requirements, and these are the 5 scientists and technical experts and MPI deem as the most important things for you to get right as a food business. So there's hand washing, cleaning, staff training, separation and temperature control. If you get these 5 things right, you're 80% there to making safe and suitable food. So the buddy really focuses on those 5 requirements. It gives you really simple messages that you can that supports your staff training procedures. You can leave it in breakout areas, your staff can flick through them, and it's heavily designed with behavioural insights and psychology in mind. So we know that a page full of writing isn't effective to someone on their break. Like, people aren't likely to take in a lot of information if there's a lot of text on a page, or if there's lots of messages that they have to remember. So every single one of these pages has 3 or fewer messages that you can remember. So flicking through this, you're really likely to remember the messages that it relays. The other thing that that's really important to note about the buddy is that it gives you, it doesn't tell you how to set up a procedure, because most people already have procedures in place. Most of you already know how to wash your hands and habitually wash your hands after you use the toilet or handle rubbish or pet your dirty dog or something, you know, and most of us already do it without thinking. So it's got just a few things that you might not have thought about. So I'll find one. So for example, this page, there's just 1 message per page, and it's really targeted and specific. Hand sanitizers are only effective if hands are already clean. On the other side, 1 in 4 people have fecal bacteria on their hands. Now, you all remember those 2 messages, and your staff flicking through this will remember that message as well. And that's how the Food Safety Buddy has been designed, so that you can really easily remember it. We are creating more issues of the buddy, so I think I've said it to most of you in this room. We'd really love to hear your ideas for future editions. We're looking at creating more issues on staff training, so looking at learning styles. Learning styles has been a really important feature of staff training. We know that not everyone who works in a food business likes to read heavy text. Like lots of you have high staff turnover, and you might have students, or you might have people who don't consider this their career for life and aren't going to read up heavily on food safety matters. So we've created lots of material on different platforms that support the information that's in Simply Safe and Suitable template, and also the buddy. So there's an online platform, we've got videos, almost everything that is in the buddy and toolkit is also put on videos, for people who respond much better to watching something, or who are auditory learners, are much more likely to remember those messages from an online platform. Also, we've focused really heavily on filming and getting messages from other food businesses, because we know that social norms are important to behaviour. You're much more likely to listen to someone who is in the same profession as you, who is your peer, than you are to listen, to government messaging isn't always going to be effective. But if your staff listen to somebody else who works in a food business telling you that they use masking tape to label their containers, or that they use separate tongs for customer serving themselves, then that's something that's much more likely to stay with you, and you're much more likely to do in your food business. So yeah, you can jump online, and there's a whole series of videos that support all the training in here as well. Lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about distribution, because there's been quite a few questions today. So the Food Safety Toolkit is going to be distributed to everyone who's currently registered on a food control plan. So that's the old style plan or the Simply Safe and Suitable plan. You will receive one of these in the post probably in August, and that will go to the address that you've registered your business to. If you're a multi-site business and you've registered once with MPI and you've got several businesses across the country, you will receive one toolkit, and that will go to your registered address. And if you want more, you can email us on the email address that's in the postcard in the toolkit, or you can go to your council, because we'll also be supplying councils with a big supply of toolkits, and they might, if they've got some left, they can give you some as well. If you've got 1 million businesses, we probably don't have the supply to do that, but we are printing more round, and we can distribute that to you if you want. They're not going out to national programme businesses or custom businesses, but that doesn't mean that you're not allowed one. You can message us and we'll give them to you. There's been lots of interest in distributing those.